I really wanted to like Santa's Sleigh, partly because next year I'm going to be making more of an effort to watch horror Christmas films, because I'm approaching 1,000 Christmas feature films, but most of those are Christmas rom-coms or family films, so I'm trying to get inspired to watch some Christmas horror films. And unfortunately, this one sounded great, but the execution was terrible for two main reasons. Santa's Sleigh was released in 2005. It's written and directed by David Steiman, and we have a cast including Bill Goldberg, Douglas Smith, Emilie de Ravin. I want to say the performances were really strong, and some of the characters were well written apart from Santa Claus. And I'll talk more about the character of Santa in a moment. The other reason it doesn't work is because the narrative is all over the place. It's a complete mess, and the pacing is very, very, very slow. But it sounded really great. Santa Claus decides to start terrorizing people and causing a lot of problems, and that part of it I thought sounded quite interesting. We get a little bit of the backstory there about why he's doing this, and that part of it was interesting enough, but I still feel like the character was really underdeveloped. He wasn't a very well-written character, and I think they should have done a little bit more with his character, made him appear in it a little bit more. He wasn't in it as much as I would like, and unfortunately that meant that part of the narrative and that character just didn't work very well, and that for me was the main appeal. However, the other characters were interesting enough that I was happy enough to follow their journey. I obviously wanted the best for them. I didn't want them to die. I won't say what happens to any of the characters. So it was a watchable film. There was enough in there that I thought it was borderline okay in some places, but the actual story was not very well handled, and the character of Santa was very boringly written as well. He sounds like a really interesting character with a fascinating narrative. I was really keen to see what would happen, and I was really open to this darker side of Christmas, and unfortunately it just didn't deliver. It hasn't... Oh, I will say though, I like the appearance of Santa. I do like the costume, the outfit. I like all of that. So Santa looks good. But other than that, the character wasn't very well handled. But the performance with the material that is presented is absolutely fine. This hasn't put me off exploring Christmas horror films, though. I've seen a few, and I've never found them scary, because I feel like they're a gimmick. They're very cheesy, and that's not necessarily a bad thing if that's what you're looking for. But when it comes to horror, I want to be terrified. And granted, I watch a lot of horror, so I have quite a high threshold, but I've just never really found a Christmas horror that's made me go, I now need to binge watch all of the Christmas horror. And I was hoping this one would encourage me a bit more. It hasn't, but it hasn't put me off my efforts for next year to watch more Christmas horror. So we'll see how that goes. If anybody can recommend any, the scarier the better, but I don't mind if it's not terrifying as long as it has a good story and decent characters. This one sounded promising, but unfortunately the execution was just really boring. Some good performances, Santa looked good, not a scary film, occasionally a little gory, but honestly, Santa's Sleigh was not a good film, and I'm a little bit disappointed about that.